cult of Hillary was called in to answer for their privatized investigation into the Clinton email server debacle. Facing the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, spokespersons for the DOJ, the State Department, the FBI, the Department of National Intelligence, the CIA, the Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and the NSA faced a frustrated Congress that had been given the cold shoulder when it came to the sharing of key details of Hillary Clinton's endangerment of U.S. national security.
And for some of you, I had to threaten to send a subpoena just to get you to appear today. We did some math. We got 70 of you sitting here. Between your compensation and your benefits package, you make more than $1 million from taxpayers. Taxpayers are paying you more than $1 million. And you won't even come talk to Congress. What is it that you believe we don't have the right to see? See, this is the way our government works. We get to do oversight. That's why since 1814, this committee has been doing that. There's executive privilege. Let me help you. There's executive privilege. Has the president invoked executive privilege in this case? The answer is no. Good. That's right. The answer is no. Is there any other situation?
Look, when it comes to classified information and the classification that deals in the executive order, not all the information that we have in our files belongs to us. We defer to other agencies when it comes to access to their classified information.
But you are the ones that put redactions on personal identifiable information, correct?
We did on the personal identifiable information, that's correct.
Where in the Constitution does it say that I can't see that?
Does it address it specifically in the Constitution?
Here's the problem. You handpicked the 302s to give to us, but the reality is you should give us all the 302s.
So let me say this. I think the director made principled decisions about what to say to Congress when he was here and also what to provide to Congress. As far as the
Wait, where do I find that?
Personally identifiable.
Do we just let everybody in government decide that they're based on their own individual principles? That's what see, it's trust but verify is how it works. You don't get to decide what I get to see. I get to see it all. Will the FBI provide to Congress the full file with no redactions of personal identifiable information?
I cannot make that commitment sitting here today.
Then I'm going to issue a subpoena, and I'm going to do it right now. So let's go. I've signed this subpoena. We want all the 302s, and we would like the full file. You can accept service on behalf of the FBI?
Certainly.
You are hereby served. You are hereby served.
You understand why Congress might want to know whether or not the attorney-client privilege was waived and who the client was?
I can certainly imagine.
Yeah, me too. That's why we want to see the file, Agent. I mean, you say it's unprecedented. Mr. Cummings used to be a criminal defense attorney. He got to see all your 302s. Ken Buck used to be an assistant United States attorney. He got to see all your 302s. Probation officers get to see all your 302s. Why can't Congress?
So I think we've given you the relevant ones
relevant according to whom? I am telling you, I don't think you've given me all the relevant 302s.
Well, the remainder of the 302s will come out through the FOIA process.
But since when did Congress have to go through FOIA?
These mouthpieces betrayed the American people in full daylight, representing a decades-old shadow government that answers to a well-established network of global multinational corporations that view Congress and the American Constitution as meaningless. And that hubris is strong, as global government has just a few more building blocks to set before we are all under a legalized one-world government. Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Behind the ostensible government sits enthroned an invisible government owing no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people."
The American Center for Law and Justice is suing the Obama administration for doing nothing to stop Christian genocide. CBN News interviewed Jordan Sekulow, the executive director of the ACLJ, for some answers.
There were other countries talking about it, but the U.S. diplomats were totally silent, and we weren't hearing anything from our administration. We weren't seeing action at the Security Council.
The Obama administration is still silent and has until the end of September to respond to the lawsuit. Meanwhile, Sekulow says Christians should fight the genocide.
We have a duty to act, and one of the things we can do is to talk about it. You know, it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but especially because it's happening to our own brothers and sisters, our fellow Christians. I think we have a duty to tell each other and inform other Christians about it.
Come out here now! Now! Do it now! Come here! I'm gonna tell you! Do it now! Man, get down! Get down! Get down! Get down! What I do? What the I do? Turn around! Turn around! Don't put your hand around! Turn around! I ain't turning around for shit! Turn around and face that way! What I do? Turn around and face that way! Turn around and face that way now, or I'll spray you! Hey! Yeah, hey, man! Hey! My mama's 84 years old, mother. Hey, man!
First Amendment exists the prohibition of infringing on the freedom of the press. Tell that to Barack Obama's White House and Hillary Clinton. Clinton hasn't even won the presidency yet, and she is already announcing a full-scale war on the truth. Days ago, the Daily Caller reported that a Clinton campaign fundraising email was sent out arguing that Breitbart and other similar publications have no right to exist. Clinton's deputy communications director, Christina Reynolds, wrote, "We've had a conservative media in this country for a while. I don't always like what they have to say, but I respect their role and their right to exist. Breitbart is something different," she says. "They make Fox News look like a Democratic Party pamphlet. They're a different breed altogether. Not just conservative, but radical, bigoted, anti-Muslim, anti-Semitic conspiracy peddlers who never have been and never should be anywhere near the levers of power in this country." Originally, President Obama promised that the Fed's handover of the antitrust-protected Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, or ICANN, would not involve the United Nations.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
Was this yet again a naive move by an incompetent president of the United States, or has this been the plan all along? Time and time again, Congress has failed to pass draconian laws to control the internet. The Communications Decency Act of 1996, the Intellectual Property Enforcement Act of 2007, the Cybersecurity Act, the Protect IP Act of 2011, and SOPA, to name a few, all failed miserably against the ironclad integrity of the First Amendment. The globalists, scurrying to their den of iniquity at Bilderberg, would hear none of it. Their very fortunes and lives depend on it. The public knows too much already. Control of the internet had to be torn from the protection of the U.S. Constitution. Larry Strickland of the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, a Commerce Department agency which has overseen ICANN since 1998, said, "We will not accept a proposal that replaces the NTIA role with a government-led or an intergovernmental solution. Now, after the full weight of Edward Snowden's revelations opened a treasure trove, the United States, in pure Hegelian dialectic fashion, offered to cede control to a multi-stakeholder, i.e. lobbyist-dominated model. That's right, the internet will be in the hands of lobbyists, the very bottom feeders of the whims of globalism." How bad is it? In the intervening years, the United Nations and the European Union had jostled for control of the internet. During a meeting in Dubai, the International Telecommunications Union, the telecom branch of the United Nations, demanded rules governing the internet to be rewritten. Specifically, the international organization proposed deep packet inspection authority that would allow it to monitor and censor content on the internet. The United States walked out of that conference in protest. What appears to be the mundane task of assigning parking spaces for internet businesses, will more than likely face in the very near future a level of censorship that will make the free-thinking people of the World Wide Web's head spin. The Inquisition 2.0. The European Union has proposed the creation of a censorship and mass surveillance framework for EU countries funded by the European Commission. The Clean IT Project webpage explains the plan called for police to patrol Facebook and other social networks in search of extremist material and propaganda, in addition to allowing users to flag terrorist content and turn others into the police. In addition to censorship, the ICANN transfer will allow for a globalist taxation scheme. Former Bush administration State Department senior advisor Christian Witten told the Daily Caller, if the UN gains control of what amounts to the directory and traffic signals of the internet, it can impose whatever taxes it likes. It likely would start with a tax on registering domains and expand from there.
Transition that stewardship to the global community.
Fadi Chahadi has been the CEO at ICANN since 2012. After having negotiated the full-scale globalization of the internet, Chahadi will be aptly rewarded by the New World Order, acting as a senior advisor at Abry Partners, a private equity firm that controls an already monopolized media. Also as a co-chair of the newly formed World Internet Conference in Wuzhen, China. And last but not least, a senior advisor to Klaus Schwab, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum. Schwab attended Bilderberg in 2016. An internal proposed strategy from George Soros' Open Society Justice Initiative calls for international regulation of private actors' decisions on, quote, what information is taken off the internet and what may remain, end quote. Those regulations, the document notes, should favor, quote, those most supportive of open society, end quote. Open Society being George Soros' organization. Soros and company, rather than striking directly at free speech progenitors like Infowars.com, are 1 month away from recklessly pulling the rug out from under everything. Now that ICANN has relinquished control of the medium, globalist institutions can move forward with plans to scrub the internet of all content unacceptable to the global elite and their minions at the United Nations.